Eala just stepped away from one of the biggest names in sports branding, and the entire tennis world is still trying to figure out why. And this is not just about cash, this is about loyalty, identity, and a 20-year-old from the Philippines who is rewriting every expectation about how young athletes are supposed to move both on the court and beyond it, because right now in early 2026 with a world ranking of number 31 and star power that is packing stadiums from Auckland to Abu Dhabi, every major corporation in the industry wants a share of Eala, yet she keeps declining, she keeps deciding, she keeps carving her own lane, and that choice, that calm iron-willed refusal to be purchased by the highest offer, is shaking the commercial structure of the WTA at its foundation. So stay with me until the end, because the reality behind this story is bigger than any price tag to understand why an approach from Adidas toward Eala became one of the most discussed subjects in women's tennis. You first have to understand who she truly is and how unbelievably fast she arrived here. Born on May 23, 2005 in Quezon City, Philippines, Alexandra Maniego Eala was introduced to tennis by her grandfather at 4 years old. Her mother, Risa Maniego Eala, was a decorated national swimmer. Her family was athletic, educated, and ambitious, but no one, not even the most hopeful Filipino sports supporter, could have imagined what was ahead. By 8, she had already secured her first endorsement deal with Globe Telecom. The Filipino telecommunications powerhouse recognized potential in a young girl holding a racket before most people even knew her name. That agreement, modest and symbolic at the time, planted the first seed of what would become one of the most impressive commercial journeys in Asian sports history. She left her home country and family as a teenager and relocated to the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, thousands of miles from the Philippines, training inside one of the toughest systems in professional tennis. This teenager from Quezon City was refining herself into something exceptional. In 2022, she captured the U.S. Open Girls Singles Championship, becoming the first Filipino to win a Grand Slam junior singles title, and the Philippines celebrated while the tennis world took notice. But what followed was something no one could have scripted. At the 2025 Miami Open, ranked number 140 and entering as a wild card, Eala stepped into a tournament she was not expected to conquer and proceeded to dismantle 3 Grand Slam champions in straight sets, defeating Yelena Ostapenko, Madison Keys, and world number 2 Iga Swiatek. Before falling to Jessica Pegula in the semifinals, she became the first wild card in WTA history to defeat 3 major champions at a single event. She broke into the top 100 for the first time at number 75, and by early 2026 she climbed to number 31, and rising with that ascent came something every elite athlete eventually encounters: the flood of agents, executives, proposals, massive figures, and non-stop calls. But what separated Eala from the moment her spotlight intensified was that she already had a structure, she already had guidance, and she already had loyalty that money alone could not replace. As her ranking surged and her name began trending worldwide, Adidas reportedly made a serious attempt to secure her signature, and from a business perspective it made perfect sense. She is young, marketable, culturally significant across a massive Asian audience, and plays an electrifying brand of tennis that commands attention. Industry chatter placed the figure near $10 million, a life-altering amount for nearly any athlete, and a staggering sum for a 20-year-old who was receiving wild cards just a year earlier. But there was one core obstacle: she was already aligned with Nike, and not casually aligned. She had been part of Nike since 2019, and the relationship had evolved into something far deeper than a standard endorsement. Days before this video, she arrived in the United States for Indian Wells and Miami, and her first stop was not a hotel or practice court. It was Nike World Headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon, where she was welcomed like a cornerstone athlete. Her portraits lined the iconic tunnel at Nike headquarters, the same corridor that features legends of sport. One image captured her celebrating her Miami semifinal run, hands covering her face, overwhelmed with emotion. Another showed her with Filipino supporters alongside the words "history" in full bloom. That is not how a brand treats a temporary ambassador, that is how a brand invests in its future. And for Adidas or any competitor, that visit delivered a statement louder than any formal rejection. So why decline a reported $10 million proposal? The answer is surprisingly simple: she did not need it, and more importantly, she did not want it. In a landscape where athletes pursue every available dollar, here is a 20-year-old saying, "Not yet, not like this, not on someone else's timeline." Meanwhile, social media erupted with fabricated sponsorship rumors, including a viral post claiming Wilson Sporting Goods had offered her $45 million with a fake quote about donating the money to the Filipino people. Fact-checkers debunked it entirely. Another false story alleged that Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan had offered her a $1.6 billion contract to headline a new UAE tennis championship, which was also completely untrue. These fabrications reveal something powerful: the public appetite to see her reach that financial tier is so intense that imaginary deals spread instantly, and against that chaos, the real image of Eala standing inside Nike headquarters, emotional while viewing her portrait, tells the authentic story. She is not pursuing brands, brands are pursuing her, and that shift reframes everything. This is not about turning down an offer, this is about leverage, and she has never possessed more of it than she does now. Zooming Outer positioning reflects a broader transformation inside the WTA commercial sphere where dominance is expanding beyond Europe and America into a truly global landscape as proven by athletes like Naomi Osaka and others, and now Alex Eala stands as one of the most compelling examples. Her sponsorship portfolio is deliberate: Nike for apparel, Babolat for rackets, Globe Telecom representing her Filipino roots, BPI reinforcing financial credibility in her home market, and most recently locally Juice, a Filipino grassroots brand connected deeply to her culture. Every partnership reflects identity, strategy, and long-term vision, and notably absent are brands that do not align with her values. This is intentional, this is calculated, and marketing executives across the tour are watching because she is demonstrating something rare: an athlete with enough influence to author her own commercial narrative before corporations attempt to script it for her. At Wimbledon in July 2025, as she stepped onto the grass at the All England Club for the first time, Nike presented her with a custom hair tie designed as a sampaguita blossom, the national flower of the Philippines, delivered in a personalized box carrying a Filipino message meaning, "If you plant you will harvest." That gesture symbolized respect, not transaction, a global American powerhouse honoring the heritage of a young Filipino competitor in a personal, culturally rooted way, and that partnership was cultivated quietly for years while others waited for her fame to peak. Now at number 31 in the world with victories over IGA Swiatek, Madison Keys, and Yelena Ostapenko, a WTA 125 title, a gold medal at the 2025 Southeast Asian Games, a doubles appearance alongside Coco Gauff at the Italian Open, a quarterfinal run in Dubai, an exhibition title in Kuyong, and a main draw debut at the Australian Open. She is only 20 years old, and each achievement strengthens the hold Nike has on one of the most commercially valuable rising stars in global tennis. Athletes in women's tennis, every event Eala enters, every match she wins, every wave of Filipino supporters filling arenas to watch her, all of it makes the Adidas discussion more and more irrelevant because you cannot outbid a genuine partnership, and you cannot assign a price to what Nike and Alex Eala have developed together. And the fact that Adidas reportedly made a push suggests they may have completely misunderstood the type of competitor they were approaching. Some athletes are available for purchase. Alex Eala is constructing a legacy, and there is a massive distinction between those two realities. The deeper truth beneath everything we have covered is that her journey, her breakthrough, her business choices, her brand allegiance, the fabricated contracts, the legitimate agreements, the Nike tunnel, the Sampaguita-inspired hair tie, are not merely the story of one player navigating endorsements. They represent a framework, a working model, a signal to every young prospect following in her footsteps that you do not have to accept the first enormous figure presented to you. You do not have to allow the marketplace to define your identity. You can craft a brand that reflects your values, respects your heritage, and still compete at the highest possible tier. My goals have remained unchanged, she said after Miami. I have always dreamed big. Winning Grand Slams has always been an objective. Becoming world number one has always been an objective. She is 20 years old, ranked number 31, and ascending. She has sponsors who invest in her narrative. She has an entire nation supporting her. She has a Nike portrait displayed in a tunnel in Oregon alongside icons of sport, and she is only beginning. The false sponsorship rumors circulating across Filipino social platforms, the imaginary Wilson Sporting Goods contract, the invented Abu Dhabi billions are in reality proof of how intense the desire is for her triumph. Her supporters care so deeply that they are creating the milestones they hope she will achieve, that is influence at a cultural magnitude most athletes never experience. When Adidas approached Alex Eala, she did not need to release a formal statement. She did not need to hold a press conference. She walked into the Nike tunnel, saw her image on the wall, and allowed that moment to deliver the response. She is not simply declining Adidas, she is affirming something larger. She is choosing loyalty, she is choosing identity, she is choosing a model of stardom that does not yield to the highest offer, but instead requires the world to engage with her on her own conditions. And the WTA, along with every brand observing from a distance, is beginning to understand a critical lesson: you do not sign Alex Eala, you earn her. So this is where we arrive. Alex Eala is 20 years old, world number 31, and already making choices that many athletes twice her age would hesitate to make. She is supported by Nike, Babolat, Globe Telecom, BPI, and locally Juice. A sponsorship lineup that forms a clear, unified narrative about who she is and what she represents, and when larger proposals surface, whether from Adidas or anyone else, she evaluates them against that narrative, not against the dollar amount. The fabricated deals will continue to circulate online, the authentic contracts will continue to be finalized on her terms, and the tennis community will continue watching a young Filipina redefine the blueprint in real time. The question to consider is this: in a sport and business culture that has long encouraged rising players to secure the biggest payday immediately, is Alex Eala's strategy the future of athlete branding, or is it an option reserved only for the elite, the fearless, and the steadfast? Share your perspective, and if this story resonated with you and you believe what Alex Eala is building extends far beyond tennis, stay connected because the journey is far from over.